This simple skill has kept men alive for hundreds of years. One of the simplest but most valuable skills right here that most people never perfect. And all I'm doing is making a feather stick. I'm slicing the wood, exposing more surface area, getting to the inner, drier parts of the wood, allowing it to be much easier to take flame. I would venture to guess that every 5-year-old on the frontier knew how to do this and knew how to do it probably better than I do right now. I typically make about 20 of these whenever I'm starting to fire, especially in wet conditions. Can you get by without making them? Of course, if it's dry enough. But if it's a wet, nasty day, making 20 or so of these can be the difference between being successful in making a fire and failing. The simplest ways to do this is to kind of anchor the blade so it doesn't move, and to pull the stick. That way I can maintain the correct angle and not cut too deep or too shallow into the wood. If I cut too deep, it kind of doesn't give you much of a feather. If I cut too shallow, it just kind of blows it off. And we want them all to stay together to make our fire prep a little bit more easy. I can anchor the blade and I can pull the stick. And all I'm doing is I'm rotating the stick around and I'm carving off the corner. And every time I make a shaving, every time I make a slice, I'm creating a ridge. Every time I make a shaving, I leave a ridge behind. And that is where my next feather comes from. I just rotate the stick to that ridge and pull. And I rotate the stick and I pull. And I'm cutting off those ridges, slicing those ridges and making those nice curls. If I turn my blade this direction, the curl goes to the right. If I put my blade this direction, the curl goes to the left. And I can mix it up and vary that direction. And that makes this really nice bundle, this poofy pile of feathers, the shavings, that makes it easy to ignite. Once it gets fairly thin on the main trunk of my stick here, I just bust it off, and then I use that to go into my fire lay. The lighter pressure that I apply, the more careful I am, the finer the shaving I can make, and the easier it will be to ignite. The harder I press and the steeper my angle, the thicker, chunkier the shaving will be.